Okay, so I have a 2000 Camaro with an LS1 engine, and I've had a check engine light come on. So I took it in to have it tested, and I don't know, one guy told me it was the catalytic converters. One person at another place said it was a knock sensor. So I thought, well, okay, I have two different theories now. So I went to a third place, and it was knock sensors. So I looked online and I found some knock sensors that were aftermarket and at a really good deal. And I didn't do enough research, so I went ahead and bought them, in my gaskets and everything, and put them in. And then I still got codes. I started ending up with, codes for that and for running lean. It's like a 171 code or something like that. So what I did was I messed up on some little vacuum lines. My AC didn't work, wouldn't switch, and the forced air little pump wouldn't work, so it was throwing more codes again. So I took it apart and I did a little more research. They said you had to torque those to like 15 pounds, the knock sensors. So I did that, fixed my vacuum lines, put it all back together, and drove it for a while, and codes came back up, knock sensors again. So now we're going through the third time putting on the knock sensors. So I thought, I'm just going to make a little video, and hopefully, I can walk you through it and you don't have some of those little mistakes. One, don't buy aftermarket knock sensors. Too much work to put them in. Spend the extra money, because I've had to buy temporary tags twice now, test driving, because I can't get it to pass emissions. Next thing, be real careful, as I'll show you, taking off the manifold so you don't break your oil pressure sensor. And it's back there behind everything, and evidently it breaks pretty easy because I wasn't very rough on anything, and I still snapped it off, which was $50. And not getting the vacuum line on right, that caused my lean codes, etc., and my AC not working. But it's all back together and doing well. So here we go. Okay, so first thing you got to do is take your air cleaner off. Just unsnap it. Take this off. These two little clips on the side, little pins, you just take a screwdriver and you can pop those out, one on each side. Undo your wires, and this will just swing up out of the way. Then your throttle linkages, take your cruise control off, it just pulls off. This you just rotate back. See if you can see it down in there. Right there, you just pull that out, slip it out, cable comes off, and just lift these up and out, and swing them out of the way. Okay, get some close-ups. This is what we took off. This is the wires to your fuel injector, and you just push on that and lift up, and it'll come off. And you have to take these off. Just a little plastic thing, you can just screwdriver them up. Like that. And that'll come out. And the same on the other side. Let me get this, and I'll be back. Okay, the wires are off the injectors. The bolts are off the fuel rail. Just 4 bolts. And then these injectors, you can see them there, right here. Down in here's a little silicone washer. And so you don't have to take these all off. You can just kind of wiggle them loose. See that? little washer there. Now make sure to check them all, make sure you have them all and one didn't stay down in there. You just kind of wiggle it all. There we go. Hold on. Okay, so we just moved our fuel rail. We just rolled it up out of there. Now I did have to take loose the wire off to this little unit, and back here you see this little white deal. It has a little blue key you pull out and then it just snaps out. And that just gave it a little more flexibility there. And so now you can see we can start getting two things a little more. We have to take loose this little guy here. It just has this little, you can see that little white spring clip. Just push that in and it comes off. Just rotate that out of the way. It slides into your manifold. You can just pull it out. Gently set it aside. Remember, be careful with all those little vacuum lines way back there, because they will create for you another code. Okay, next we have to take this out. That's 10 millimeter, and we got to get this little water hose off of here and one off of front up here. We'll take this off and that off. Okay, we have that stuff disconnected. Hoses, there's a hose. This down in here, this little valve has a little ground hook to it. Just pry that off. It's bolted to the block. It's not on there very hard. Now we will take all these bolts out. 10 bolts, 8 millimeter, I believe. As you see, we're getting them all out. Now those two back ones, even when you get them all the way loose, they don't want to lift all the way out. So there's this little rubber band trick. You just wrap a rubber band around the last two, holding them so that pressure's kind of squeezing each other. And you can lift them up a little bit and they won't slide back down. That way the ends of the bolts won't stick in the block while you're trying to slide the manifold forward. Okay, so my rubber band the last two, because you try to get them out, see they hit before they'll come all the way out. Stick your rubber band on there. Like that. See how it just kind of holds them up? Slide your rubber band down a little. There, just hold them out of the way. Okay, everything's off. Now just remember before you lift it out, on the right hand side corner, your right hand as you're looking at it from the front of the car, there is a little oil pressure sensor. So you don't want to move this manifold. You don't want to be prying it that way or anything, or pushing it to the back trying to get it broke free, or else you can snap that off. And behind there, this right in the back is some vacuum lines. So what I'll probably do, one of them goes to your brakes over here. I'm going to disconnect it here from the brake thing, because it's easier to thread that hose through than to try to get this little clamp back on the back of the manifold where you can't see it. And the other two little air lines that are hooked to that, hooked to this are just have rubber fittings, and they're little bitties like these. I don't know if you can see them in the back there, but one of them actually runs to this. So be careful you don't break them, because there it is, because they are kind of small, and you will get a code saying it's running lean, and your car will want to idle high and act all kinds of weird, and your knock sensors will come back on because it's getting too much air, and then it's giving itself more fuel. So I'll get that off, and then we'll take the little lines off the back and just remove this. Okay, there's that oil pressure sensor. There's a little plug-in that goes to the back of the manifold. And there's two little vacuum lines. There's this little, where'd I go? This little one here plugs on the end. And this one that goes in a little, there you go. Goes in a little elbow, rubber elbow. That all comes up into all this junk. This is broke. I'll have to fix that. Get that taped up, because that's where all my oily mess is coming from in the back. And these are your knock sensors. And there's your knock sensor plug. Let's take that out. I'll show you the back of the manifold. So here's our manifold. You're going to want to replace these gaskets. So here's what you're messing with in the back that you can't see. Little vacuum line there, and the end of it. So one goes on there, one goes on here. Your plug-in goes there. Here's the vacuum line that goes to your brakes that we disconnected. So be careful with all that when you're messing around back there. Might have been easier just to take that off, and I might do that. When I reconnect it, I'll put the little lines on this, reach back there. And just slide this on there. We'll see if that's easier, because getting those little lines stuck back in here just by feel, really hard. Okay, let's take a look at these knock sensors. You can see where that wire got a lot of pressure on it right there. And then back here, got clamped down pretty hard too. A lot of oil. Interesting, isn't it? Anyhow, there's your knock sensors. Okay, back from town. About another $125 into it. Let's hope this works. Just have to take in, throw them back in there, and I don't know, wish for the best. Okay, going to put a little anti-seize on these. and then install them brand new again. Just keep going till we're broke or it's fixed. What else can you do? These have to be torqued down to around 15 foot-pounds. So we'll set this and snug them up. Okay, we've torqued them. I'm going to ohm them just to make sure that plug works. There's nothing pinched in this. Shouldn't be, but you never know.
Both on at 99. What we want. I guess. Okay, now we'll start putting it back together. Gonna slide it back there and connect the wiring to the back and the little vacuum lines. Feed that hose back around to the brake system. And then bolt it down, torque it up, do everything the opposite. Okay, this is all torqued down now, and I'm going to put the fuel rail on. I reapplied, put this back on just because it was in my way, and these couple hoses over here. So now I'm going to put the fuel rail on, but I like to put a little silicone grease on those little washers right here. Let's rub a little on. Don't get any in there. That's your injector where your fuel comes out. So we'll do that, and it'll make it easier to pop back down in those holes without having to, use a lot of pressure or tap it or whatever. Alright, we have the fuel rail on. Now we're going to plug in all the injectors. There's always gonna be hard. Plug in this little filler.
You might be thirsty. I brought you some water.
Okay, we just finished popping on the air cleaner back on. Get these little guys in here. That's tight. That's tight. We have our antifreeze lines on. Made sure and did the rubber hose back on back there. Last little bit of wiring. Okay. Double check. Make sure everything's on, tight. Make sure you don't have any extra parts. Anybody want to buy some really cheap knock sensors? Might work for your S10 or something. Okay. Start it up. See if it idles down a little. There it goes. If it don't, it's probably a vacuum leak. Still have that dreaded check engine light, but we'll clear that
PO327 332. Okay. Go on, now I gotta drive it about 25 miles, between 20 and 25 miles. See if it comes back on. Okay, we've driven it 28 miles and no check engine light, no codes. So that's great. So, looks like it worked good. Okay, so it worked good. Remember, don't buy aftermarket knock sensors. They're too hard to put in, takes too much time. Now, dealership was going to charge me, I think they said like $800 to put those in. So even if it did cost a couple $100 messing around, I'm still $600 in the bank. It's not bad. It will take you roughly 3 hours to do it if you get after it and don't have any trouble. Maybe you do it 3 times in a row like me, you can get it down to about 2 hours. So anyway, your intake manifold, I don't think I mentioned, torque that, it's 7 foot-pounds, 40 inch-pounds, and just do kind of a random back and forth type of deal on there. There is a specific sequence you're supposed to use, but you can look that up on a forum. There's an LS forum that I think has a link where it shows the exact formula there. So anyway, hope you keep it running, and you can do a lot of this stuff yourself. Just give it a try. And we used an 8mm, a 10mm wrench. We used a 7/8 socket for the knock sensor, pair of pliers, and a torque wrench. So yeah, not very many tools involved at all.